What's going on, everyone, man? It's Zuko here, and today I'm bringing you guys the Enzo guide. I have a lot to talk about, so let's get straight into it. Enzo is a character that legit gives you everything. Um, I said it in my first tier list that I made. He's going to be one of the most slept on characters, but he's going to shine a little bit more as people kind of like get more experience with the game and how it works. Uh, and that's exactly what you're going to see in this video here. I was able to dive into him a little bit myself, and I was able to find him to be even more broke than I originally thought on day one. Um, his skills just really shine. And now, since I know more about the modules and whatnot, and just how the damage and everything works in this game, he just hit his damage skyrockets. So with him, you get infinite ammo for high-powered rounds, which means your sniper rifles are now basically infinite ammo. This also means every weapon that you use for you and your team now has infinite ammo forever, literally forever. Which means now shotguns are a meta for him if you want to go that route in mobbing, but in bossing, not really. You don't really want to do that, but it's really good for status effect trigger rate if you're trying to do that. So there's technically a shotgun build probably somewhere out there with Enzo that could be good. I just wouldn't be the one to do it, but um, sniper rifles are his best weapon. Um, Not only do you get insanely high DPS numbers with him, you get the best survivability in the game. Easily, hands down, the best survivability in the game because you do it in a way where no one else in the game can do it, and you kind of take advantage of the natural thing that happens. He genuinely has the best survivability in the game, and no one can even come close to it ever. Like, it's impossible. Not even Ajax. Ajax can't come close to his survivability. I'm gonna show you how. On top of all of that, you give him some of the best skills in the game. He has the best skill in the game easily. And then he has dot damage over time. And then burst damage. And none of them have cooldowns. This character can do it all, man. Let's get straight into it. So, first things first is you need to use the devotion. This is your hand cannon version. Then you need to use the LMG. You can use the tamer. Honestly, it's your best option. You want to go for something with a little bit more accuracy, so that way you don't miss a lot of bullets. You can do that as well. Doesn't really matter. I'm just running tamer because I put activator into it, so we gotta stick with it. As far as your last option here, your most important one is your sniper rifle. I'm using the Forest Gaze, the best one that's not a legendary. The next best thing, or your best weapon for Enzo in general, is going to be the Afterglow Sword. You need that thing. That is your damage dealer. If you can get that thing upgraded, you're looking at insane damage numbers. Um, because of certain things, and we'll talk about that in a bit. So those are kind of your three weapons there. If you're going for like solo bossing, let's say like getting the fastest time to kill possible on like Devour or whatever for like content, then you definitely want to go with the piercing light because it just has a like little two times the value of the forest gaze and the piercing not I mean then the afterglow sword. But the afterglow sword is just overall better for Enzo if you're not doing like the solo sort of content. If you're playing with the team or if you're playing like mobbing, you want to use the afterglow sword. It's literally your best. So reactor wise, you need the afterglow sword, you need non-attribute, and then you need singular. Don't run dimension. I just don't have one yet. But you want to run singular. What you also want is skill cooldown. The second one doesn't really matter. You can run whatever you want. You can run either singular, you can run dimension, you can run duration if you wanted to. You can run whatever you want. It really does not matter. You can run non-attribute if you wanted to, as long as you have skill cooldown. That's the only one that matters. So again, afterglow sword is your weapon, and then non-attribute, singular, skill cooldown, whatever you want for the last one, you're good. As far as your set, you really do want to run annihilation. This is kind of your best set here for you as far as what you can get. There's another one that you can kind of use, which would be the veteran marksman, but it's not that big of a deal. Um, but it could help in min maxing, let's say, certain charts, so that way you can squeeze a little bit more DPS in your modules, so that way you don't have to overcommit to the crit rate. We'll talk about that in a bit. So that's could be possibly another good one. But the biggest boost that you're going to get into your damage, especially if you're going for like speed running with Enzo, you're definitely going to want to run Annihilation. That HP loss is going to be really, really easy to do if I show you guys how to build him in just a bit here. And you can also kind of like map that out, which means you can, like, let's say if you're on one of the Colossus battles where you have like the floor is lava, you can sit in that. It tanks your health. Get your health under 50, you get the boost. So really, really good. The MP recovery is a really, really bad thing though, so kind of be careful about that. But the HP recovery is nice, so you can kind of like make it to where that's like not really effective. So annihilation is what you kind of want to run. But as far as the perks you want to run is you really do want to run max shields. Max shields and defense. HP does not matter. You really don't want HP at all. You want max shields. So technically speaking, the supernova set that guarantees you these two slots are really, really good. I wouldn't recommend going for that because you don't really get anything for the actual two set slot, but just having that is really, really good. Any set that gives you a guaranteed two max shields for the set and that gives you a pretty good skill, you kind of want to go for that. But in this case, you can honestly use the regular ones too. It really does not matter. But if you're wanting to go for the annihilation thing, then honestly run the annihilation set. Full set is really, really good for him. So for the first one here, what you really want to run is MP recovery out of combat and then max HP. The rest does not matter. As long as you get max HP, defense, or max shields as your uh, main slot, you really want defense or max shields. That's your main slot. You can get max HP as the secondary in the perks as a legendary. That's cute. And then MP recovery out of combat would be cute. That's literally it. For this one here, this is your god roll. You want defense, you want MP recovery in combat, and you want max MP. If you can get shields, that's also a really good one. But you want defense as well, whichever order. For this one here, you want shield recovery in combat is your most important, and then defense. You gotta have defense. You gotta have defense. Defense, defense, defense. Max HP is just kind of there. You don't really care about it. If you can do one that's like this, this is another god roll for you. So technically speaking, this would be a better roll for me since I'm not actually running the full set of that. So this is literally just a better set. You increase your defense and you get shield recovery in combat. This is the biggest boost that you're going to be able to give yourself. So looking at my defense, we're at a 58 defense. Now, I said in a previous video, 56k is like perfect spot for me defense wise. You're doing all of this with the shield thingy that you have, and now you're kind of like insane. Now you're looking here at your defense here for the last slot. You want again shield recovery modifier, which is really important, and then max shield. Max shield is really important here as well. So let's go ahead and talk about the build. So you have technically two different versions. One's more defensive focus, one more offensive focus. This one has a little bit more offense to it. I'm going to be kitting this out just a little bit more, so I'm going to tell you exactly what you want to put if you're trying to map this out yourself. So what you want to put is Singular Master here. This is going to give you a huge DPS boost. This right now is increasing this damage by up to like 500 to 600%. Literally 500, 600%, because the original value for these bullets is 15.9 of your skill power. So, well, not 15.9, you get what I mean. It's a low number. So what this means is increasing it by a multiplicative value is really going to be low. Low value because it's already a low number. But if it's an additive value, now you're just adding to this 15.9, which means this 76 is basically how many 15.9s can you fit into 76. Every single 15.9 that you can fit into the 76, you increase your DPS by 100%. Well, I'll just go ahead and tell you, naturally this thing hits for about like 1.9 or 1.8 something K. Really, really trash DPS, or like 2 point something, right? Well, you put just this on, just this alone, and now it's hitting for up to 18k. So really, really big boost in the DPS for this. And then you add this, and you're also boosting the skill power, the overall skill power, and then you're giving it again that modifier, which is really, really good. Another thing about this is also boosting the burst damage, the little explosion that you get from this, by 50%. So really, really big damage increases to your actual ability. So again, the little bullets are really cool. That's the thing that's hitting for 18k. And then that little exploding thing, increasing it by 50%. Just with this alone. So really, really big damage increases here. And then when you run the skill power, you're going to get obviously the skill power modifier and doing what it does with the additive. And then you're getting the multiplicative for everything in your kit that does damage, which is really, really good. So basically this skill and this skill. Really, really strong. That's all you need for him because he's not really a skill power character. You don't really need that. You just want this thing to do as much dot damage as possible because this is your dot damage. I'm gonna show you that in a bit. So Basically, what you're going to get if you do the numbers, you have the basically duration for about 7.5 seconds. You don't want to increase the duration. You don't want to have duration on the build. His duration actually just kind of suffers you a little bit. You don't want to run duration on him at all. You could technically run it if you wanted to. It wouldn't be a bad idea. You would use less MP, but I wouldn't recommend it right now. But you could technically run it if you wanted to. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. But what you want is to get to that burst damage, that explosion, really, really, really fast, because it does like splash damage and also has a chance to like stun a lot of things, and it's kind of like infinite rockets in a way, where the more like times you can get that to hit, that's just really, really good. So same thing with this one. This one just kind of stuns people. So you hit them and then they kind of like take a huge step back and they kind of walk back. That's really, really strong. Especially if you keep doing that over and over and over again. That like is just really good. But you don't have to really focus on that. But the main thing is you want these little bullets that it's shooting to do as much damage as possible, because this skill doesn't work like how it just looks on paper. You might be like 18k damage, that ain't really nothing. Well, if you and your team are all a team, so you came in with 4 people, you proc this ability, everyone gets that turret, and that turret takes your stats, and then it gives it to everyone on your team. If everyone on your team is shooting for 18k right now, 3 times a second, so basically 20k 3 times a second, so that's basically 60k a second, 4 times, forever in a fight. You basically just did so much DPS, it's kind of insane, because everyone on your team gets this. So again, the more you boost a singular skill, the more these bullets do damage, and then the more the big burst does it. And again, if everyone does that big burst right at the exact same time, which is what is going to happen, you're looking at really, really good stun potential as well. So this ability is just honestly god tier damage wise. This is all of your damage that you need from the skill, and it's passive, which means you do it and you don't worry about it, and then you actually do your real damage with your sniper rifle. So this is just passive damage over time, dot damage. Literally, it's dot damage that has the best range in the game, because it follows your teammates around and it follows you around, and it has really, really good range. You don't want to run increase skill range or none of that. You don't want to run it. Just leave it natural. This thing does good. Then on top of that, is the best skill in the game. On top of it doing dot damage over time, and it has the best range in the game because it follows your teammates around and it goes through your teammates, and it just has a really good proc rate, and it does just good overall in general. And then it explodes. It keeps your teammates alive. So again, one of the best abilities in this game. Keeps your teammates alive. It does damage for them. Legit, you can go AFK and literally just proc this ability over and over and over again, and the people on your team, you could legit be like, hey yo, y'all wanna farm this little whatever. All I need is for y'all to be up in the thing, just stand still, and legit you'd be able to legit just use them as a body to get the turret, which is really, really strong. So again, AFK farming with this bad boy, kind of insane. Um, on top of that, every single second and a half of you being in this mode, you're going to give yourself fuel supplies. Well, this means 2 high-powered rounds every second and a half, which means you have infinite ammo of that thing, and this thing has no cooldown. Whenever I show you how we running it, really, really strong. Shotgun, no ammo. Um, any weapon that you have, you always will have it. You never have to worry about ammo pickup. You will always have it. On top of that, even more, you now make it to where everyone on your team, including you, not only has infinite ammo of high powered rounds, so everyone can basically use sniper rifles, everyone can use infinite rockets, everyone can use everything. Everyone can use a shotgun infinitely, just straight up. But now all of their firearm attack is increased by 20%, and their crit rate by 20%, and then the reload time modifier plus 10. Now, the reload time modifier doesn't really get to take that much effect just because of how short the duration is. But if you wanted to take advantage of that, then you could increase the duration just for that. But you don't really want to worry about that reload time modifier that much. It's not going to be that big of a deal. It's just 10%. You literally slot in the regular one and then you get plus 8. So it doesn't make that much of a difference. But if you are min-maxing with fire rate for, like, let's say a sniper rifle, so that way it procs, then this could be really, really good. You just technically would have to reload before the ability actually ends, and then you technically get that little boost there, and that could be good. But there's tech that we use so that way that doesn't matter, so I don't really worry about that. That's not important. So this skill, it gives you your team survivability because it gives them DPS. It does damage for them, so it keeps them alive, which means it kills things for you. It gives them ammo, and then it also gives them straight up an attack boost, which means again the damage for this can't be calculated just on the chart because you're getting 3 bullets a second. That's hitting for 18k right now. Currently, again, that could probably get up to 30k whenever I fully like upgrade this thing. That basically means you'll be doing like 90k damage a second, 4 times, forever in a fight. That's really strong. On top of the fact you're boosting all of your team's crit rate by 20 and all of your team's fire rate by 20 and their reload time by 10%. This is really good whenever you pair it with this supply firearm enhancer. Because now we're not only just giving them a 20% increase to their fire rate, now giving them a 29% as well. So this is basically 49%. Rounded up, let's just say 50. This means if you have a sniper rifle that naturally crits for 50%, well, you adding 49% is going to take what's 49%, or basically, let's just say what's 50% of 50, 25. Well, just you having a sniper rifle that has a 50% crit rate, and then you get perfect support, and then you pick up this little thing, now your sniper rifle is going to have a 75% chance of critting every single time without any investment. That's really strong. Let's say you as a character, you got your crit rate up in with like things of this sort, up to this number showing 51, right? If you can get this number up to 51, you'd be good. Or to make it a little bit easier, if you can get this number up to 75, then you'd be legit 100% guaranteed crit. You literally would not be able to crit. So really, really strong. So again, sniper rifles with Enzo. So you could legit have a whole team that's only using sniper rifles for a boss, and then everyone's always critting forever, infinitely. While you're doing the dot damage from this thing, everyone, and this thing is not only just boosting your crit rate. So all you need to do is get 51% for sniper rifles, and everyone is critting if you have the 50% base. If you have the 40% crit rate, you might have to work a little bit harder. You might have to run edging shot and get that up to like a 60 or somewhere around there crit rate opportunity. Probably even a little bit more than that. You wouldn't be able to guarantee the crit. You would need to use again the Afterglow sword because you have the 50 crit rate and you have the weak point damage and all of that. Well, this also increases your weak point damage by 15% as well. So huge boosts. And when we're already talking about the grand scheme of things, now I did try to see if this was like after everything like outgoing damage, or if it was just just another additive. It seems like it's additive, and it's not an outgoing damage because it just didn't do that much as I wanted it to do, but it is still a really good boost. So the bigger the number, the bigger this of a difference this will make. So this is a really strong ability. Well, this here is basically your explosive drone. This means that every time you throw this out, it does really good DPS because it has just a high skill power value in general. So you upgrading your reactor means this thing does more damage by a lot, and this thing doesn't have a cooldown either. Really strong. And it's also a dimension skill. That's really important to note. This here is another dimension skill. Really important to note. It lasts for about 6 seconds. And then what it does is, notice it says initial shield recovery 25%. Not 25. It's a percentage. There is no other way in this game to increase your shield recovery by a percentage. Ever. And that's the biggest weakness of shield recovery, is that let's say if you got to 10k shield max shields, right? You can only gain it like +3 or +4 or +7 depending on if you're running a shield modifier or not. It's going to literally take you a minute or somewhere around there. I'm just kind of paraphrasing so you can get the idea. To get all the way to back to 10k of your max shield, because you can only gain it at a specific rate. And no matter how large the number is, if you can only gain $1 an hour, well, that's all you're gonna get. I don't care if your end goal is to get to $100 or is to get to $1 million. You're only getting $1 an hour. Well, This is basically saying, hey, the initial shield recovery, we're just gonna give you straight up. You want to get to a million, we're gonna give you 25% of that immediately. That's really strong. And then it says 6% after that for every single second. Now, technically, what's really going on is you're gonna get 25% immediately, but then you're gonna get 6% like a little bit right after that. But they happen so close together, it's really like you're really getting 31% of your shields back instantly, and then you're going to get the little 6% after, like in that, which means if you can proc this ability fast enough, and again, it doesn't have a cooldown, you can get 31, 31 really quickly. And the way that I have these procs, you can actually get 2 seconds where both of these are on at the same time. And if you're using the other variation, you can actually have 3 seconds where they're both going at the same time. So you actually get 12 shield recovery every single second. So this is literally insanely strong. So again, the more shields you have, let's say right now, me running a defense that I have on, the one that I had before, a boss will hit me and he will hit me for about 45 of my shields. Well, my shields are 1700 basically right now. Well, 45 of 1700 is not a lot of damage. That means they're tickling me, right? Already. And I am level 34 and they're tickling me. Well, if I increase my max shields by a lot much more, then that means, again, percentage wise, if it takes them like, let's say 10 seconds for them to take away 25% of my shields, I can get all of that back just by pressing my V. That's really strong. So this is his whole survivability is in shields. And he's the only character that I know of where this is actually so meta, because you can't recover HP. So HP is you only have to get the orbs. There's specific skills in the game that is built, for example, shield recovery in combat, when we talked about, where now you recover shields in combat. Well, you're naturally doing that, and then on top of that, you're getting this initial shield recovery, and then the continuous. This makes it to where you naturally regen the best resource that you have for yourself over and over again, and it has no cooldown. This is insanely strong. So that's why we run increased shields. The other thing you kind of want to run is this. You either want to run this max shield to increase this all the way, and it's going to tank your HP. This is really good for the annihilation set, because if they get to breaking your shields, you want them to take as much of your HP as possible, because by the time they take enough of your HP, you'll just proc another one of your shields, and then you get 25% of your shields right back. So they just don't do damage to your HP at all, ever. It's really hard for them to kill you. This just makes it to where your shields are harder to break, but it's also easier for them to take a lot of your HP, because your HP is just a lower number. So they take a lot of your HP, but they can never kill you from it, which means your annihilation is just always giving you that damage boost for your firearm. Using a sniper rifle, it's a huge boost, 26%. So you want to run this. This is optimal. If you aren't wanting to be that risky, you can run the increased HP. They both are cerulean, so that means you can kind of switch them out. It doesn't really matter. Again, Singular Master is going to be the one that's up here. So Singular Master, conversion, or increase HP. Then we're talking about Iron Will. This makes it to where if you fully max this thing out, you're going to get huge scaling from this. Let's say your shields break. That defense procs forever. Not for a second, no cooldown, straight up defense. Since we're building shields and we're not building into increased HP, and we're actually tanking more of our HP, this just makes it to where our HP is just stronger defensively, because our defense rating is getting boosted the moment that our shields break. This makes us super tanky without us having to go into the increased HP, so we can go for more max shields and have that beautiful sort of recovery thing kind of going on there. So this is strong. This makes it to where you can't die. And this here is just kind of there. If you didn't want to run that MP recovery, you can also just run max MP. This is another one that you could run here. Technically really good. If you wanted to go for more offense, you could go for more offensive stats, but honestly, this one is kind of like a free flow. You can kind of put whatever you want in this slot here, but everything else you absolutely need. So yeah, technically one is more consistent than the other. If you just give yourself more max MP, then that means you just have a much larger number. Depending on how much MP you have, That could be a much bigger boost, but the MP recovery modifier, that means you could technically get a lot much more for picking up the little orbs. So that's really, really good. But you don't want to wait for orbs, then honestly, you kind of understand it. The good thing about MP recovery in combat and MP recovery modifier is that if the more your max MP is, the more those little ticks matter. So that's really, really good. So I'll honestly say max MP will be a little bit better. I just think it's the overall better option here for you. So go ahead and use it. That's basically this build. This version here is technically just the way to get yourself more cooldown. So again, 74. Um, this makes it to where you can spam this infinitely to legit have two of these up for 3 seconds at the same time. So you're giving yourself 12. So this is really strong defensively, but this is your offensive version here. If you're wanting to go full offense, again, you kind of want to, I just don't have the space for it just yet, but that's what you would want to run. So kind of showcasing all of this now. The way multi-talented works is it's not like, oh, if I press my Z and I use my dimension skill after, now I can make this have a short cooldown. As you can see, that cooldown is really long. This ability ends right now. And look at my cooldown. It's halfway. You might be like, man, multi-talented trash. I don't want to use that. Or let's say you do it like this. Say, okay, well, I proc my Z, so I gotta wait for the little cooldown to finish. Now the cooldown finished, right? You see, boom, it went away. Now I can press my dimension skill and lower it. Nope, cooldown staying the exact same. It's not how the ability works. How it works is, for 5 seconds after you press the dimension skill, any skill that you press within those 5 seconds gets that cooldown reduction, which means I press my C, then I press my Z, no cooldown. Watch. All this time is dot damage. Boom. Skill ends. Boom. My Z is back. I can spam that infinitely now. So again, this is your offensive rotation because your C does damage, right? Cool. This also is good because since your C is an ability itself that's a dimension skill, this means these just don't have any cooldown, right? As you can see. So really, really strong. You can spam that forever. And then on the other version, you can just spam that just a little bit faster. One thing you do have to be careful with is doing this. Don't do this, because if after you get this last one here, if you do it like this, you'll get the longer cooldowns like this. Now this will be like this, literally for like 10 seconds, because it will keep this cool. Even if you use it again, look, cooldown is still the same. Until you get back to 2, you would not be able to make it to where that skill procs the actual multi-talented version, which means you have to get back to 2 here. Then you would get the faster cooldown. So be careful with spamming that. Don't just go around spamming that. Use it like smart, like that. I only do 2. I maybe I'll do 3, and then I'm just letting it play. The most I'll do is 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'm gonna just let it play out. I'm gonna sit. I'm gonna wait on it, right? And that's it. Technically, you can get 4. Right? See, technically you get 4. And not have to worry about it, but then you get the slower cooldown there. So again, I would just say get 3 and then leave it alone. And that's basically how I run that. As long as you get past that, you're good, right? Boom. So no cooldown. Well, your other dimension skill for a more defensive rotation would be your V. Press your V, that's your shield one. Then you press your Z. Now you press your Q. And now look at all of these abilities. None of these have a cooldown, which means now you can spam all of these infinitely. So you can technically do a DPS rotation of something like this. Boom. Boom. Q. Grab it. Boom. This is really, really good. Alright. You see I'm hitting for 1.2 mil right there. Whatever. 0.2 mil, 1.3 mil. Cool. Now, this is really, really good. But notice how that was just from the actual basic stuff. Or we'll go ahead and pop this. Oh, I messed it up. Give me a second. But as you see, you're getting the +2 to your ammo, which means you have infinite ammo of high-powered rounds. So this is really strong. again, do this, do this, grab this, boom, pick that ammo up, boom, 2.8 mil, 1.4 mil, 1.4 mil, forever, infinite, forever and ever and ever. Not optimized yet. Again, I'm assuming that this will get to around about 5 mil, maybe even 8 mil for Enzo. Just for him naturally doing this himself, that'll be really strong. Like really strong. And the cool thing is, again, you can end that animation of your reload just by pressing any of your skills again halfway. So that's really good. That's basically like his rotation. Let's say if you're trying to face tank a little bit more instead, to your V, to your Z, to your Q, boom. And it goes away right after, but this will be where duration might be needed for that, but I honestly wouldn't even recommend. So again, let's say you're here. Let's say you took a lot of DPS, right? Boom. Pop this again. You get all of that back. Pop this again. Boom. Go right back into it. This is really strong. So all of this is damage happening over time with the drone itself, and then you doing the burst damage, and then the burst damage from the thing that stuns this little whatever you're going against. This is really good. So technically really hard for you to die. Another thing you can do is you can press your C straight into your Q. You can press another Q here, and then you can get 2 of those bad boys. So that way you could do kind of save yourself some time. Like at the beginning of a fight, you can have both of these down, pick up one, and then let's say you needed to reload after you farm all of those, and then you pick up the other one. This is really good if you have like short mags, for example, things like this. Now I have payout on this thing, so we'll talk about that in a bit, but technically speaking, you could do like this. All right, cool. So boom, reload really quick, grab this other one. Cool. So really strong, because now you get to use smaller max sort of thingies and keep that boost kind of going for yourself. If you're just wanting to play off of that alone, pair that with your Z and then your Q. Looking at these kind of being a little bit, you know, much more optimal. Now the cool thing is, if you get a weak point shot here and you have, if you're running payout, basically again everyone basically gets infinite ammo. Everyone becomes a gley. Right? So this is a really strong perk. I think it's the best perk for him, especially if you're using the whole thing again, because it lasts for your whole ammo clip. Not a duration, the whole ammo clip. You giving yourself more of this sort of duration. That's really strong. Everyone basically becomes gley. This is really strong, especially for how the devotion is made. Natural crit rate 36%. You can get that up to 72 just by giving yourself the 51 on top of the 49 you're going to get from Enzo, having a 72% chance of critting for these, and then the crit damage being basically 2, crit rate being 36, and then your weak point damage being 1.7. That's really strong as a hand cannon for how fast it can fire. As you can see, not using any ammo. This is a lot of DPS if you're pairing that with the perfect support while you're doing the passive dot damage, while you're also getting the buff from your shield enhancer. That's really strong. So that's basically Enzo's like kit. Again, sniper rifle is his best weapon, so you kind of want to do that. Basically another thing you kind of want to like do with him is the double shields. So again, you pop your shields, wait it out. 1, 2 seconds, you get where you're going to get 12% instead of 6%, because both of those stay up for that long. You go ahead and run this load out here, you get more cooldown basically. And you make it to where you get 3 seconds. So proc this. 1, 2, 3. Right? Really good. And it doesn't really cost you that much, and the MP recovery in combat is just really good. So again, 1, 2, 3. So really good. It just kind of allows for you to get that a little bit longer. Not gonna be that I honestly recommend don't even go for it. Just kind of give it to you like this. I just think this is the better way to do it. So yeah, as you can see, you're gonna be good. You're gonna give yourself the immediate plus, like, again, 31 plus 31, and then that continual for about 2 seconds of the 12. Basically, you fully regen all your shields. I'm gonna try and show you that really quick, and then that's pretty much gonna be everything that I have for you guys. Just remember with this thing, you don't want to anytime you reload or you switch weapons, you lose it. So again, don't pick it up with one bullet. Don't pick it up with half a mag. Reload completely, then pick it up. Let's say you broke your shields, right? Look at that. Boom. Shield 1, shield 2. Look at that shield recovery. Really, really strong. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's really, really hard to beat. Right? Really, really hard to beat. And again, not fully upgraded just yet. Level 30, whatever. So again, no double down on the shields, none of that. This would be extremely broke. Right now, I legit can't die. So again, say you're just kind of doing your thing here. Look at how he's tickling my shields. And while I just move around, naturally regen these, right? Just throw that out, immediately get all of that back, right? I want more. Do that. It's impossible for me to die, right? I want more. Possible for you to die. You can kind of play around with it a little bit. You want to either do conversion or more shields, or you can go for more HP. It's kind of up to you how you kind of want to run that, but technically speaking, one's more safe, one's more risky. One's going to give you more reward if you play a little bit safer. One's going to give you more reward for safety if you get hit by a lot of things. I would honestly recommend, if you're a smart player, if you know how to play the game and you're not like getting hit a lot, or you get hit by BS, then just go ahead and run the conversion, because you can build it all back immediately. So that's everything I have for you guys, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, bro. Enzo is really, really strong, like extremely strong. Izuku, bro. We out. Peace.